Brian.
Oh, is it? Hey, Brian. What's up, buddy? How you doing? It's one needy dog. I joked about this all the time. My first dog was a Husky Wolf cross up in the Arctic because, of course. And that dog wouldn't cuddle unless we were all literally dying of frostbite
Exposure, right?
Yeah. And we're trying to play catch with that dog. Like, you would throw it and she would look at you like you were a fucking idiot. Like, dude, why did you throw that perfectly good stick away, you dumb human?
Right.
So that was dog number one. So all I wanted was a dog that would play catch with me and a dog that would cuddle. Brian is 115 odd pounds and is the most lap doggy of lap doggies in the history of the world.
Yes.
And Rhodey will play fetch for 15 hours at a time. And like literally like get so neurotically dialed in. So basically the universe over delivered.
The age of canine specialization.
Yes. So ordinarily we open with some fancy coffee music. Because of tradition, I'll probably play it later. But I wanted to start this morning's little election special update with what made Greg cry. I for sure didn't.
I've got my tissues handy.
I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his face on thee. You ought to love him for it, because he crowned that good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I thank you, Lord.
The
God damn it.
Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So
Yeah, 9:05.
yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hashtag Coffee, the Ultimate Edition.
Ultra edition.
We have come a long way. And what's funny is this iteration, the Hashtag Coffee iteration is, it's on top of Coffee on the Dock, which is something Corey did and I joined for, I don't know, a year or so. And before that, some podcasts that we did together. So we've actually been talking about this election since late 2015. It's 5 years that Corey and I have been having a conversation about this election and this presidency. And Hashtag Coffee is sort of, this is what we talk about every day. And now it's what we talk about every day, plus 30 or 40 people, plus probably a couple hundred people over the years, some of whom have gone by the wayside because they can't handle the truth. And we're humbled and we're grateful and we're here. And we couldn't think of anything we'd rather be doing this morning than sharing this day with you. Because I think we've done the work, and we know you have too. And I'm fielding phone calls this morning from people who are looking for ways to volunteer, from people who have ballot questions, from people who are telling me what they're seeing at their polling locations. Donna Arbogast is on her way out with LaLanya Hopper to go volunteer at a precinct in Central Pasco to bring water to voters. Long lines this morning, all over Pasco County. Everywhere we've heard about, there are lines waiting to vote. Jareen saying in the comments she just got back from voting. I'm hearing from friends about long lines in places like Connecticut, in New York City, in Queens, in the Midwest. I think we're going to do the thing.
I have one word. Texas.
Texas. Fucking Texas.
Dude. So Greg says me this thing yesterday that Beto the day before did. Beto did because he just does it himself because he's actual superhero. He put an amazing team together and along with the candidates that are running for the legislative house and the house or whatever. Like he's unified Texas and quite frankly should run for governor in my humble opinion. I think that would be tremendous. But he did 2.6 million calls the other day with his whole team, which is crazy. That's crazy. 2.6 million calls is crazy, right? Let's say 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 50 answers. Who gives a fuck? That one day swings the election if it's close, right? So the next day they do another 2 million calls. They did 2 million calls yesterday, right? And I know there's some stuff going on in Florida, loosely disconnected or whatever, but nothing like that, nothing even remotely like that, or we would have heard about it. So like here's what I think we know for sure. Texas is beginning closer by 2% to 3% every cycle for the last 3 cycles. Right. This cycle was the first one it was in striking distance, and I don't think they could have done anything differently. Like chances were maximized, right? If it's close and we lose, fine. They know the next time they're like an oil tanker size level of fucked.
Yeah, a change in Texas would not be a one race change. It would be a systemic, long term. Texas is blue for 30 years kind of change.
Well, and this is why like redistricting starts now. Yada yada yada. Like this sets them up to be stronger for the first decade of that 30 years by potentially an order of magnitude, right? Because they're doing all the redistricting for this legislative house. They're adding 3 new congressional districts because of population, right? Like it's a big deal. Anyway,
so what's with the sacred taco thing? Am I missing something?
I have no idea, but I definitely want to know.
I've seen that twice this morning, and I'm missing what that significance is. So James Hudson, give us an expo in the comments if you'd be so kind. So yeah, good morning, everybody. Lots of good mornings in the comments. Virginia Rupert heard some 45 voters feel he has it in the bag, so they are not voting. I am good with this.
Oh man, I'm seeing hubris from everywhere. There's like this like data nerd on Twitter. I think I told this story before, but I have to tell it again because I'm frustrated about it and I did not respond to it because I'm practicing self control. Anyway, data.
Why start now?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Who basically said he thinks Trump's going to win. I'm like, oh cool. It says on your profile on the Twitter machine that you're a data scientist. What data are you using to come to this really kind of contrarian position? This is Rasmussen polls. They're always right. So that's a piece of data that is checkable. You can check that. Turns out no. Turns out that as far as polling outfits are concerned, Rasmussen is terrible. But as long as it tells you what you want to do, and this is part of why, there's especially in the crypto contrarian space, right? There's a lot of these nerds, not in a good way. Usually, I reserve the word nerds for positive things, and I don't want to carry on, Governor. When your opponent is busy wrapping rope around their necks.
Don't interrupt them.
Just hand them more rope.
Yeah, that's Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Never interrupt your opponent when they are making a mistake. So,
yep.
Yeah, stay home. You guys clearly have this wrapped up.
Totally right. I think this is completely and totally.
We're hopeless. That's why I'm crying. We're hopeless.
Exactly.
We've given up all hope. That's why I'm crying.
We did our best, but it looks like the fascists are going to win. Good job. I guess that's dude, talking to those.
I guess America really is stopping people from voting. That's what America is.
Yeah, right. Right. It's
very
it's
American.
only the master race should vote. We get it. That's a thing that is an opinion that you have. Dude, talking to those Hunter Biden story believers this morning was amazing. Like they just like the rich level of like grade 2 English stupidity is really shocking. I hope these people get driven back underground to the point where they're too embarrassed to talk out loud. I mean, that's not going to happen probably, but it'd be really nice if it did.
So Dixville Notch, one of those places that votes at midnight,
Yes,
went 5-0 for Biden. The last time that they were all unanimous, it was 9-0 for Nixon in 1960. That's literally 60 years ago, the last time everyone in Dixville Notch saw it the same way.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hold on though. Jen, Nate Silver was always right until last time. Don't believe the polls. So here's the thing: he was right last time. It was within at the end. It was within the margin of error of Nate Silver's situation, which said that 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 6 times Trump could win. It's a probabilistic situation with the way that they build stuff, and they deduced the polling errors that got it done. They weren't waiting whether the white vote had a PhD or not, because that would have given them polls that were accurate. And I'm not saying that uneducated white people are the problem. Just kidding. That's the fucking problem. Dumb white people got us Trump. Like that's a provable, understandable fact, which is frustrating. So anyway, Mom just said one lady said there are 3 Dems at her workplace and they're voting today. 14 coworkers are GOP and they're not voting because Trump has it in
the bag. Sure. I like their confidence. I mean, I really, really, really like their confidence. I hope many more Republicans are that confident.
Right. Exactly.
So Corey showed me some data last night that shows Florida as razor thin. And, Corey went immediately to the very humanitarian. Well, fuck Florida. It's cool.
Unless Florida impresses me, Florida, meet me at Camera One, Florida. If you impress me, I will bow down to you and say thank you. But chances are you're just going to fuck around like you always do. So fuck you, Florida, in advance.
The problem with that being okay with razor thin is our local candidates.
I'm not okay with it being razor thin. I'm pissed. It shouldn't be razor thin. Razor thin means that 48% of people in the state are fucking stupid. Like just like breathtakingly dumb. And that is so frustrating that I have to think about something more fun that rhymes with schmexis.
I have to tell you, I got another big data dump from my friend John Nestler overnight, who's been crunching state and national polls since March, and his predictions are pretty confident of a Biden victory. We're seeing lots of this turnout is here's the thing, we're going to find out, but I think this turnout is not what the Republicans think it is.
I think you're right.
I think there's no reason why overwhelming numbers of people in African-American communities in Georgia are turning out at record numbers means a victory for Trump. I just don't think that's how that's going to go. So we're have you met Florida? Yes, I have. Yes, I'm from Florida. I'm an original. I'm a native. So I know. I was a voter in 2000. I know. I understand. But I actually think that that this high turnout is. I think we should have him shave his beard, Mike. I think that's the obvious answer.
I'll shave every fucking hair on my body.
Okay, well, we didn't need to know that much, but
okay, sorry. Was that a little specific? Maybe it was. Maybe it was, Greg.
Okay, but yeah, Corey takes a full body shave.
Why did I just say that?
Done.
I will. If that is a consensus outside Greg, I'll fucking do it because I'm going to tell you a lot of shit about Florida today, and balance.
Yeah. Well, I'm very, very deeply ingrained in Pasco County. Having worked in this field in this county and lived here most of my life. But I will tell you, somebody told me straight up this morning they thought Pasco was going to go blue this year, and I don't agree with them. I'll tell you what, I think if Trump won Pasco County by 22 last time, I think Trump wins Pasco by between 8 and 10, and I will call that a massive dance on your grave victory if it happens. I would love to see our local friends who we know are all excellent candidates get elected. I was optimistic in 2018 and I had my soul destroyed over it. We saw some early polling that indicated that it was tight in Pasco County, which was surprising for the down ticket races, like for our state legislative seat, Danny Antonino, Brandy Goyette. We saw these were potentially close races. We just talked to Jess Stempian on Friday here on the show, and I would love for all of them to get elected. I'm going to be surprised if one of them makes it, and I love them all very much. And they know how hard a hill this is. Winning Pasco County for Blue is a 20-year process, and we're about 4 years into it, so it's going to take a while. But what I love and what choked me up last night in conversation about this is tomorrow morning, I know that Jess Stempian is going to get up and commit herself to running again. I know that Brandy Goyette is going to get up and commit herself to running again. I know that all of them, they all huddled in a parking lot in 2018 the minute they found out they lost and said, yeah, we're running again. And Tammy Garcia is running again, and Brandy's running again, and Kelly is running the operation for Pasco County Dems. So we have people that are deeply invested in making Pasco County count for the most voters, for the most people, the most families. And yeah, I love my county and I love my people. I love what my county could be, and I believe in what it will be.
Cool.
Yeah.
Roadie Muffin. Swimming in the Atlantic in a Speedo is better, apparently. I'll just let you know right now, like, that's Tuesday for me. Like that. If you guys really want to see that won't be hard at all.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to see that.
But definitely the shaving the beard would be.
Sylvester said I can't shave the beard because then I wouldn't be an otter. So,
well, how disappointing for you.
I mean, do you guys want to hear Trump defeated, basically proving that
yes, please
slink out the back door? Because he is.
So, Mr. President, the analysis of what they're talking about and
is that you're fucked.
Some of the things you've said, they are suggesting that you may declare victory if the early numbers favor you. At what point will you declare victory?
When there's victory, if there's victory, I think we'll have victory. I think the polls are, suppression polls, and I think we'll have victory, but only when there's victory. I mean, there's no reason to play games.
There's no reason to play games.
And I think we'll have victory. I think I look at it as being.
Why are you playing it twice?
A very solid chance at winning here. I don't know what the chances are. I don't know how they rate the chances, but
I'll give you a hint.
We do.
Bad. I think
1 in 10.
The official count is 1 in 10.
Yeah.
Which again is 1 out of 10 dice rolls. So not to protect my boy Nate Silver, but he right.
And it's not just, let's be clear, it's not just Nate Silver and 538's analysis.
No, it's everyone.
It's pretty, and it's different than 2016. And I loved what Amy Siskind had to say about this. We've been gaslit and told that rules and data don't matter for so long that we tend to believe it. This is not 2016. This is something that happened, not something that's happening. The polling this time is very different. There's a lot of granular polling in the Midwest that didn't exist in 2016. They're differentiating now between education levels and polling, which is something we learned from 2016. The polling is much more robust and much less, I almost said fluctuant. I don't even know if that's a word. It's not moving around. It's been steady. The polling has been steady for months, and it's been a steady increase in Biden's chances, a steady decrease in Trump's chances. Guess why? Because this president is an overwhelming asshat, and he's been overwhelming asshatish in myriad ways. I'm not talking good this morning. I just me no talk good. James Carville, he gonna get his fat ass beat.
I mean,
that's a pretty good Carville right there.
Yeah, that wasn't terrible at all. Yeah, James Cook was on Lawrence last night. Not that I stayed up listening to news all night. I did.
He did.
Um,
I had to go to sleep before Corey did last night. That
never happens. Yeah, there was not a whole lot of sleep. I had to basically stay up until my eyes were like this. That's what happens before I go to sleep. I turn into a weird. Anyway, yeah, Cook was like, yeah, he's gonna lose. Like, he's gonna lose, and they're gonna lose the Senate. So sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a very nonpartisan election analyst, dude.
Dave
from way
Myers.
back.
That downtrodden sound coming from is the sound of democracy climbing up his ass, and several states' attorneys as well.
Yeah.
I hope there's room. I kind of hope there's not, but anyway.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's funny. We went ultra vegan Whole Foods diet a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
We haven't really been talking about it because we don't want to be those vegans. We just like Michelle watched a bunch of documentaries and she's like, we're never eating meat again. I'm like, well, we've talked about it many times. So like, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so we've been eating super good. Like she's been feeling like healthy and her tummy has been hurting, which is, you know, awesome for her. Like we're seeing dramatic changes really early on. Right. And I was like, so, hey, I'm going to get it shipped. And I was like, bread, donuts. Like everything, like honey for my coffee. Like I was like, I need carbs, I need sugar in my face hole. Just like that, you know. I didn't get beer though, and I almost did, but I didn't get beer.
This Corielco, this is true. This show is gross. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Sylvester Carvel is like an ornery drunk possum who pops out of the ground and spits tobacco. that's
yeah, that checks out.
Jim Carvel. Yep.
No, James, it was not syrup. It's honey.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm cool. I'm not that cool. I don't know.
Yeah. People are paying attention. They didn't think he could win 2016. Young adults are paying attention. In between, there are joints. Unlike many of us who had no clue how important it all was when we were 18 to 30, people are not playing around. That's my sense. My friend Terry Howell Coons, who I've known since like 6th grade, she's working a polling station in Indiana today, central Indiana, and all of her volunteers, the poll worker volunteers, are all high school students. There's like 8 of them, all high school students, because they've recognized that they have a role to play. I cried watching Rachel Maddow talk last night about the number of young people who have stepped up to be poll watchers and poll workers to save the lives of the little old church ladies who have done this job relentlessly for decades. We've seen the same thing happen in our local Democratic Party clubs. It used to be all people who were retirees, and they're tired. They've been beating this drum for 20 years. And so a whole lot of young people in our community have stepped up. Brendy Goyette says over 15,000 votes in this morning so far in Pasco County. 15,000 votes in Pasco County so far. Good morning, Brandy. We are breathless and excited. And I'm skeptical, but I'm super excited and hopeful. And we want you to win. We need to get rid of Jack Mariano.
Right. Brandy, if you have time tonight, could you come and join us for a little bit of the election coverage tonight? We're going to time, DM us. We're trying to get Kelly on. We're actually going to have Ash Gallagher on with us all night because she's an actual pro who has done this before. So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, the season finale of 2020 is going to be lit, y'all. Yeah, hopefully this is the season finale. I really hope this is the season finale. Anyway.
Slugworth? I don't know what that means. Did I miss something? Carvel reminds me of the villain from the original Willy Wonka movie.
Fair enough.
Jareen says, local good news. Townsfolk continue to slam dunk on our Q-back candidate all day long yesterday. If a Democrat on my ballot had a chance, it's Emily Tyndall, who we've been helping. That's great. We're pretty excited. Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody in Pasco County that watches the show voted for Brandy Goyette for county commission.
Without a doubt.
Punch anybody who didn't. I won't. Well, I might.
I'd leg shot. Yeah, 100%. Like if you watch this show all the time and you live in Pasco County, you're like, yeah, no, I really didn't. Maybe not even a leg shot. Maybe a good like little solar plexus tap, because what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, me too, Marianne Gallagher Patrick saying she's seen Brandy's signs all over. So have I. We've been out looking at houses, and I've seen your signs everywhere from the south part of Holiday up to Hudson. here on the west side. I haven't been to many places in the east side of the county in the last month or two, but good job on the signage.
Oh, hello. Apparently, Pete went on Fox News last night, and this tweet just says he did it again. So we're going to play that.
Brandy, how long are we on? We're going to be on from 6 p.m. to whenever tonight. So we're going to start live streaming at 6. Anytime you want to join us in there, you just message one of us and we'll get you right on.
One hundo.
Go on.
Biden 2020 campaign surrogate Pete Buttigieg back with us tonight. Good to have you here, sir. You heard
Nice to be with you.
Tim Murtaugh take issue with your characterization of the Biden Obama economy.
He's already laughing.
Oh.
He's like, you guys
the
make this
dumb
too
pumpkin
easy.
has an opinion? Cool.
How do you answer what he said there?
I guess he thinks we're all stupid. Look,
Boom.
Oh, every single time he goes on Fox News, I love him more.
Yep.
Guess he thinks we're all stupid.
Slayer
we
Pete.
can look this up.
Sorry, what's that?
Slayer Pete.
Slayer Pete.
I mean, these are matters of simple fact. GDP growth under Obama, faster than under Trump. Look at the first 3 years. And if he's trying to sell us on third quarter GDP growth this year, if he's trying to use the 2020 economy as an example of an economic triumph, he's living on a different planet than the rest of us. The only reason those numbers are what they are is because it's a partial comeback from the bloodbath that was the second quarter. We're still down, as I think anybody knows.
Well, I think
We're
anybody
still
would
down
understand that
in
obviously when you
2020.
shut down an
Hold,
entire economy the
hold.
way that
Please hold.
What's up?
Virginia Rupert brings up, why is economy spelled wrong? Look at the claw. I'm sorry. Continue.
Economy.
Economy.
Pete, how is the economy?
Hey, it's
you
Ash
had
Gallagher.
to.
It is Ash Gallagher, who we will talk to briefly in a minute. Economy.
It's going to take a while to come back.
Exactly. That's the amazing thing, right? We were
Right.
down
So the amazing
post-pandemic,
thing, you
and he
know,
did
some would
worse
say is that it's come back
pre-pandemic. So by both
2/3
measures.
from how far it was down. So that's a,
Yeah.
I mean, no, by any estimation, you know, from what happened, that's a strong number to be up 33% off the bottom. Everyone understands that it's not back where it was, but we all understand the world we live in too. So we
Right,
get
we understand
Do we?
there's an
what's
economic
going on.
disaster touched off by the
by the COVID.
mismanagement of the pandemic.
Well,
But again,
you
even
can
pre-pandemic,
characterize
and this
that
is a
however you
matter
want.
of simple
Anybody who was
fact.
president was going to have to go through that economic dive and come back
Well, except
out of
in other
it.
countries, it didn't happen quite like that, did it?
Well, we have
Pete Smash.
the most diverse
Pete for
country in
press
the entire
secretary.
world. We have a
Do we?
set of complex problems in our, you know, with our population.
So
It's a
we should
completely
settle for
different
less?
environment.
Please make him the press secretary. Please
Right.
make him the press
Oh
secretary.
my God. So we should
Nope.
settle for less. Karen. Trump Biden camps at odds over record on economy. Anyway, Ash Gallagher, thank you for joining us. She didn't know we were coming live this morning. We didn't know we were coming on live this morning, so that makes sense.
Yes,
Ash,
come on
you're
early.
joining us for the evening. We're super stoked about that. How are you feeling this morning?
It's afternoon for me. I'm feeling pretty good. I've just had a healthy lunch and I'm gonna make tea and whatever. I'm gonna be ready to like unpack the world with you guys and solve the problems of the United States. I didn't know you guys were coming on a little bit earlier than normal, and I figured I would just pop on and say hi. I definitely look forward to doing all the things. Yes, hashtag Pete for press secretary, please.
Yeah.
The man is just
Oh my
brilliant.
God.
He just like throws the shade. He makes sense. He's like, and he just gives it to them, and they can't handle it. They can't handle how calm he is about it. Like he just does it so well, and I just really feel. And by the way, the writer and Fox, that person's probably gonna be fired. I swear to you, if Fox is like any other newsroom, which I'm sure on some level it is, like that person who made that typo will be yelled at and profusely disciplined.
They
Is
must
that-
have some churn then, because that happens on Fox a lot.
Well, the problem is though, is that you know, on an important day like this, you don't fuck it up.
Right? Yeah, well, like literally like half your viewers for the year are going to be watching over the next 72 hours. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Randy's
the,
Randy's saying all you healthy people ate a Pop-Tart and had a gallon of coffee. So I let her know that campaigns have their own nutritional rules. It's completely different when you're in a
yeah, no, I
campaign.
think I mean, hey, at least yours isn't running on scotch, because if I was running, that's how it would work. Until it didn't, which it probably wouldn't. Anyways, so Nate Silver has it at 90%, 1 chance out of 10 that Shit Turd wins. Where does Ash Gallagher have it?
Well, I don't know if I can give you necessarily points, but I think that Biden. I think Biden. I would almost say minimum. He's going to at least get as much as Hillary Clinton did, if not more. I think it's going to be a lot more. I don't know necessarily percentage points, but I'm going to say anywhere from 3 to 6 million he could potentially win by. Obviously, the Electoral College is another problem, but popular vote, I think that he wins quite significantly, probably by more percentage points than Hillary did.
Yeah, I think that's confirmed. The spread never got anywhere near as high with Hillary Clinton. Like, it's probably going to be even by 5 points, which 5 points for what's supposed to be between 100. I think it was like 137 million last time. The spread now for turnout is 147 to 165 million.
Which is huge, because
which is massive,
we
right?
had 120. That's a 20 million increase already from the last.
Yeah, that's insane. And 20 million people, the new voters. And Greg has talked about this a lot, and I completely agree with him. New voters are not like suddenly super stoked to vote for the piece of shit. I don't buy it. Right?
Right.
No, is there some? Of course, there's some. Maybe a million out of 20 million. That's less than half of 20 million. I just want to throw that little math out
less
there.
than 20 million. Yes,
That's less than half of 20 million. Just saying.
right.
Numbers.
Yeah, and I keep, when I think about, Corey showed me some Florida numbers last night that show a pretty razor thin margin, which for Florida, that's not a surprise, but it did show independents. I think it was 49-43 were breaking for Biden in exit polling. That's good. If that's happening here, I'm sure it's like that elsewhere. And, we don't, basically what's needed here is the equation is more Trump voters voting for Biden than Biden voters voting for Trump, right? More Democrats voting, what's needed is more Republicans voting for Biden than Democrats voting for Trump, and an even split among independents. And I think we're gonna hit that benchmark in all of the toss-up states and the states that are, sort of bellwethers. I think that happens in Ohio. I think it happens in Michigan. I think it happens in Wisconsin. So, and Biden doesn't need Florida. Trump does. That's
right.
Astonishing to me.
There's like 6 of those.
Yeah.
Right. Like, Biden doesn't need Texas. Every Republican for the next 30 years does. Right. Yeah. Like, that's sort of the we're fighting in their end zone. Did I just sports ball reference right?
I missed it. I was reading the comments and I
said we're fighting in their end zone.
Yes, you have that. You have that analogy right. Well done.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah. Pretty excited about that. Yeah, we're definitely on the other side of their blue line.
Yeah, that's why this week Harris and Biden have been making appearances in Georgia and Texas repeatedly, like right in their house. States that were safely red in 2016 are not that way anymore. So I feel like a lot of people did a lot of very, very hard work to get to this day. I said in 2018, and I could have been really wrong, that 2018 felt like the beginning of a trend line away from Republican politics. And it looks to me like this is going to be a further repudiation of where they've tried to take our country.
Well, it's funny. Somebody the other day, a friend of mine, she posted the whole thing about, about Trump wanting to not have votes counted that after today. And what was interesting, I said, and I actually quoted, and I was half joking, but I was half serious too. More conservatives vote on day of, which means he wants to stop the counting. He's actually kind of screwing his own people. So, if that's what he wants to do, and I know there's a joke in that, but there's also the elements of understanding that, when you put messages out like that, you inevitably screw yourself. you inevitably put yourself in the precarious position because because he doesn't know how it works. He doesn't actually understand how it works. So by that very nature and in and of itself, he then will screw on his own voters and his own people and himself in that space, which then automatically starts putting, all of the early votes way ahead that have already started to be counted by various counties and commissions and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the post analysis of this that starts running 2 weeks from now is going to have a lot of own goal references. You did what to the post office during a pandemic, you fucking clown?
Right. Yeah. Well, the Republican effort in Texas this week to cast away 127,000 votes from people in Harris County. Look, not all of those were Democrat votes. I'll bet you a full 30 or 35% of those votes were for Trump, and they're trying to throw them away. So you're disenfranchising your own people because you think you can disenfranchise more of the other people. That's not a position of strength. That's a position of weakness and fear. And that's what all these suppression attempts are. If they really believed that their ideas were better, they wouldn't be trying to stop people from voting.
Right.
Yeah. It's minority rules, last gasp. So I didn't know who Jay Hogan Gidley was, but apparently he's the new press secretary or something for the fascist wiener. Daniel Dale Biden just left church where he visited the graves of his son Beau and other family members. He's then going to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Scranton, PA before returning to Delaware, where he's scheduled to deliver his nighttime remarks. Okay, I mean that's whatever. We sort of expected this, but I wanted to find out who this Jay Hogan Gidley was, so I went over there. It's like, oh, Christ alone. National press secretary for Shitburger. Anyway, so that's only interesting because Chris Hayes immediately locks into the appropriate part. Christ alone. And Keith Olbermann right after that. He's at his son's grave, you little twat. I could just hear that in Keith Olbermann's voice.
Yes.
Which what's really interesting. He started the YouTube rants or whatever. He's actually a little bit too angry for me right now because he's coming into this late. Like, man, we've been marathoning the shit out of this. Like, coming in like hardcore dropping nukes. I'm here for it. Thank you very much for showing up in the last 2 weeks. We've been dropping nukes for Chex Watch 4.5 years.
Meanwhile, Olbermann's been standing around in his kitchen in his undershorts, drinking scotch and yelling.
Yeah. Fuck you.
But you know what? The reason that nobody knows who that press secretary is because he's not actually holding proper press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody knows who he is because he's not there. Like
it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. So he's just a guy under the carpet saying things that mean nothing.
Oh, I love when you join us.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, because you know things that we assume. That we know them because of you, and it's nice to have you come and directly drop bombs on people. We love that.
I've got a few bombs. Why not?
Nice.
Indeed. Harris County has 800 voting centers open until 7 p.m.
Yep.
So that's fun.
Yep. I love that the way the court case went down yesterday was the judge said that the plaintiffs, first of all, had no standing in Texas to file this lawsuit, and secondly, that they would have to prove. I think it was heinous motivation on the part of the Harris County clerk.
Yeah.
Yes, his heinous motivation was keeping people safe from a deadly pandemic. That bastard.
Yeah. What a dick. Fred said Keith Olbermann was the reason I started watching MSNBC. Me too, until his protege became 50,000 times the nighttime host that he will ever be. Anyway, Al Franken had something to say. Downside of a Joe Biden victory, we may never see Trump's healthcare plan.
I'm hoping Trump's healthcare plan is whatever they offer at Rikers.
Oh, burn. Because that's a prison, Greg.
Yes.
Because you'd be going to jail.
You're so fast.
I'm such a speed guy.
Unpack that joke makes it funnier. Ha ha.
It does. Thank you. And I think actually we don't ever actually say unpack. We say explain. Unpacking is better because then we could actually get in the image of a suitcase and like the joke is a suitcase, and then you can dig in.
Everything is better when
the tiny It like
unpacks
the suitcase is basically like the TARDIS. It's an infinitely deep suitcase, so you could constantly pull out strands of joke.
It's like a Mary Poppins thing going on. She's pulling out the light
forever. Yeah, yesterday
for D&D nerds, that would be a bag of holding.
That means
killed everything.
nobody, Greg, to those D&D fans.
All right.
Yeah, so I can't lie. Last night I was still feeling super apprehensive, and I'm not anymore. Now I'm just like, let's get this done.
I just
Like,
want to encourage anybody who might be watching this who happens to be a day of voter, or even if you're not, you can text your friends who are day of voters. Make sure that people vote for the judges. Just saying, this is the local voting that I really care about. Like, you could skip other ones if you just really don't know. I understand it's important to vote for as many as possible, but if there's one you just should not skip, it's the judges, because we really don't want any more Kavanaughs and Gorsuch and what's her face Barrett's ending up in the Supreme Court. So vote for progressive judges.
Is that true? Wow, Deborah, Deutsche Bank talking about seizing his assets if he loses.
What? Mom, can you?
I heard a thing this morning that said
that
that they were out of good options for.
Well, they've been out of good options for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
we'll
go to the bad options, Deutsche Bank. Please go to the bad
that's
options.
the thing. Like, I can see a visceral pile-on of everybody that he ever screwed over now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're powerless, and even Marco Rubio is saying bad things about you, even though the Lincoln Project has the tape of you basically trying to stick your tongue up Donald Trump's ass. So that's fun. They have that tape for literally every Republican.
Okay, you.
Anyway, like, I want to get that link, so I'm going to Google that. But so I've been listening to the Lincoln Project podcast because I have been wanting to accrue some more data on whether they're going to be on our side or not. And the whole last episode is basically like the second the Republican Party started turning into a vote suppressive engine, we started walking away because we thought that you could actually make, arguments for your ideas. That's, why these people got into politics. So he said the one thing that they want to make sure they're focused on, other than basically going after every Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz forever until they're out of public life. Like, that's item number one for the Lincoln Project, is to destroy the Republican Party. Like, that's literally their game plan. They talk about it all the time, is to explicitly back the new National Civil Rights Act.
Nice.
Right? So those are their top two priorities. I'm like, yeah, I mean, they might not be on our side on taxes. So what? Like, this is because if they're not on our side on taxes, they're literally getting the votes to turn the United States into, a Canada-like social democracy that will actually function.
Well, we already know that
taxes
are going to be a fight. Like, there are certain issues that no matter which way you turn it, it's just going to be a fight by the Democrats and the opposition. Even if Republicans or opposition are in the minority, there's still going to be certain concessions that are going to have to be made around new tax policy and everything like that. It's just the way it's going to be. So I think, in my opinion, when it comes to like some of the more economic stuff that say the Lincoln Project guys maybe disagree with, I really don't. You're right. I don't care, because what they're actually seeing is that the issues that people are voting on in the Republican Party are the issues that need to be leaning in the Democratic direction, or the centrist direction, and that's what they're actually really good at. I think it was Rick Wilson. He was asked by 60 Minutes. He said, "Aren't you afraid that you're stooping to his level?" He's like, "I hope we are." It's the only thing that works for him. I mean, he flat out tells the woman from 60 Minutes. He's like, "I hope we are stooping to his level." Nothing else works.
Yeah. While Marco Rubio's on the table, did you see his tweet yet last night? Somebody asked him what he thought of what those people did in Texas. He said, "We love what they did in Texas."
Yeah,
the caravan assault. He was really happy that happened. So don't forget who Marco Rubio really is at the end of the day.
A weasel.
Wow! Look at that! Look at that!
Deutsche Bank plans to cut ties with Trump after the election. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. It's a German bank. Deutsche is. They're probably they're German run. Of course.
Well, not of course, because he's been getting shit forgiven. Like, he's been running money laundering schemes. This is a personal opinion of mine that's backed up by a bit of evidence, but certainly nothing up to journalistic standards. Let me just throw like a bunch of caveats up there. Money laundering through Deutsche Bank with Russians is basically almost certain. It's all been not all, but a large part of it has been running through Deutsche Bank. So they're like, up the wazoo with Trump. So for them to be suddenly turning around and saying, we're actually going to cut all ties, it wasn't a foregone conclusion, because if he'd have won, they definitely wouldn't have done it.
Right. Well, I mean, I also think that Germany is now beginning to look at the United States and go, "Oh my God." I mean, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm very thankful that I had an extension approved, in France, and it's largely based on France looking at the United States, going, "Oh my God," you know what I mean? So I think that's the thing, is that the world is beginning to look at this and go, "We can't afford this." Now, he's still going to get away with some of his other BS stuff, like in China and Russia and wherever else he's got deals that he's benefiting from, Saudi Arabia and all that other crap. But I think that there are places that are genuinely beginning, especially European places, that are beginning to go into the United States and go, until this is fixed, we can't.
Yeah, France is gonna be like, so we're gonna need that statue back.
Dave Myers, Dave, that's a story I have not yet let go of. Shortly after the election, we learned, as Dave reminds us, let's not forget the secret encoded phone line that they had set up between data line between Deutsche Bank and Trump Tower Chicago that has flown under the radar for too damn long. They had a direct link between the Trump campaign and Deutsche Bank in 2016. That's not okay. That's really not okay. Dave, the Trump clip you heard earlier was from Fox News this morning. He was supposed to call them at 7. He didn't get on the phone with them until about 7:42, so he was very late. And there are several clips of him being dissociative, rambling, depressed, and defeated, which is how we want him.
Well, it's funny. I'm looking at Michael's comment here. I don't know. Putin is not beyond being honest. People think that Putin's actually secretive, and he's not. If you actually listen to his interviews, like, he's out with it. He'll tell you what he thinks. He'll even admit what is essentially corruption. Like, he has no qualms about it because he knows he has the power. Right. And so I don't think that I don't know that Putin would just come out and be like, so let me give you all the secrets on Trump. But if he's like asked about certain things, he won't care. He'll say whatever. And that's the thing is Putin is actually, ironically, a very honest, criminal, corrupt leader.
Yep.
Like, it's just blatant.
And I saw a good analysis on the actual meaning of compromat last year. And what struck me is it's not even necessarily about showing someone, I have this on you and we will expose it if you don't do X. It's just convincing the other person that you have something on them. It doesn't even have to be specific. But what you're banking on is the knowledge that person did do some heinous things, and it's entirely possible that someone has that information. So this only, like the thing about con artists have best success with people who have larceny in their hearts, right? Because you think you're going to get something cheaper or better. That's why the con works, because you already have it in your makeup to want to make money for nothing. So compromise works the same way.
Graham. I want to see Lindsey
Graham.
I want to know what all his damn secrets are, because I mean that man, like, he sold his soul, and he sold it so fast. I mean, he was always a bit weaselly, and I didn't agree with him on lots of things, but like, oh man, he went from hold me to my word, Trump is terrible, like, to he's the best thing, vote for Trump, he's so great, to please give me money. Like, what that man got on your, what do we think he has on? You know what I'm saying? So, like, if there's anybody that I think I want more exposed in this little ring of fire, it's him.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. And I think it's probably going to happen. He doesn't have John McCain to backstop him anymore.
Nope.
He doesn't really have anybody else in the Republican Party that's
his
helping him stay afloat.
Got it in the bag, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Harrison's been working hardcore. Jamie Harrison is explicitly pro UBI, right?
Cool.
Yeah. And I mean, he's good at his job. I mean, that switch from, a lying sack of garbage to a leading progressive in the Senate, destroying Lindsey Graham. Like, there's so many possible things that can go right today. And yes, all of them could go wrong at once, and we could have another 4 years where we have to come to hashtag coffee 3 days a week and go, motherfucker, because that's possible, right? It is. Until it's not, that's a possibility we have to face.
Sure.
But, Maria Richardson, good comment. The LP keeps saying that Donald Trump has taken the GOP to a place that is unrecognizable. Excuse me, really? How the heck do you convince a whole party to act in a certain manner if that ideology was not already in there at their very core Who are they trying to convince, themselves or us? Definitely not convincing me.
Themselves. They're absolutely trying to convince themselves. They and I think, talking to Rio for as long as I did, they haven't internalized their use of the Southern strategy as the explicitly fucked up thing that it is. Because what Rio will say was, I wasn't for the Southern strategy. Oh, did you vote Republican? Well, yeah, of course. Well, then you fucking were, right? Like, you're on the team. Did you speak out against it at rallies? Oh no, then you're for it, right? Like, these operatives in the sort of whatever the centrist or pragmatic or functionary or activist wing of the Republican Party 10 years ago, they were all fine with it. It was fine, right? And if you're fine sitting at a table of racists, you're a racist piece of shit. Period.
Yeah, I've seen some appeals from my few remaining conservative friends on Facebook this morning. Go vote, everybody. I hope we can still be friends after this is over. I don't think so. My children are afraid for their lives and safety because of this presidency. And I can't be friends with you if you think that that's okay. If you make my adult daughters afraid for their very fucking lives, I can't be friends. I feel
like this issue is so deeply complicated. Let me explain why. I was reading a story this morning that somebody posted, I think it was Reuters, where it talked about, how this has had such an effect on families and friend groups and, all of this kind of thing. And I generally agree with what you're saying. It's the idea of, how can you say you love me and vote for somebody that wants to destroy my world? Simultaneously, where do we begin a space of, Greg, you work with men who have done some really terrible, terrible things, right? Unforgivable things. So while I'm not saying that people need to just go back and be happy-go-lucky friends, that's not at all what I think. But where do we begin the process of trying to find a way to mend and create spaces of reconciliation for the self, for the family, for the friend group, whatever it is, right? For the community, because on one hand, I completely understand and agree with what you're saying, especially when you realize that it has an effect on your daughters and your own life. But having also worked with men who have done seriously unforgivable things, where does that work begin so that there is some sense of healing within the country? Because our country needs a whole damn lot of it.
Yeah. In the context of the men that I work with, apologies do nothing. Amends do something. Amends is trying to make the person that you harmed whole, trying to restore them to some sense of feeling like you're making meaningful changes so it won't happen again, either to them or to others, right? So making amends, this is the thing I learned in recovery, is different than making apologies. So I'm not waiting for my Trump supporting friends to come tell me, oh, gee, maybe we were wrong to support him. I'm waiting for them to say, no, not only was I wrong, here's what I'm doing to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And I actually live here. In 2000, I was much more conservative than I am now. And I remember I wrote a blog then, before anybody knew what blogs were, frankly, where I said, if you can't read, maybe you shouldn't vote. If you can't speak English, maybe we don't need your vote. So I was actively posting about disenfranchising people in my own state. And I understand now how heinously wrong that was. And I've done a lot of work to make sure I'm never that person again. Right. Sure. And the way I've done that is to understand that there may be reasons why someone can't yet speak English or lives so immersed in a community of Spanish speakers that they don't have to, that they're surrounded with people that speak Spanish. They're comfortable there, but they're very American, right? They still want the same things that I do. They're American citizens. That's why they're voting. Same thing with people who can't read or write. What I wasn't accounting for was the hundreds of years of voter suppression done by trying to, by reading tests and spelling tests before you could vote. And so I didn't know any of that about the Voting Rights Act and southern states and Jim Crow. I really didn't know any of that when I was posting that. But having learned it, my work now is to convince other people that every vote should count. It doesn't matter, even if it's not like there was a story on Rachel Maddow last night about an 85-year-old guy broke his hip, was in the hospital. They found out that his ballot, he hadn't signed the outer envelope. And no one was allowed to go into the hospital because of COVID. So the election workers couldn't get to him to do this. They transferred him from the hospital to another rehab facility. And while he was on the gurney, one of the election workers was able to get him his ballot so he could sign the envelope. And I got all choked up, and I was like, I said this to Donna this morning. You know what? I don't care who that man voted for.
Right.
Maybe he's a Trump supporter. I don't care who he voted for, but the idea that people went through extra effort to make sure that his vote counted, that's my amends. Right.
Right.
That's why I do this, because
Right.
I know that I was on the wrong side of this fight for a long time. And my job now is to point out that we can be inclusive. So that's when my Trump supporting friends start coming to me and saying, I'm recognizing now that my vote for Trump hurt gay people, hurt the ability of gay people to live safely in our community, convinced the Newport Richey City Council they didn't need a human rights ordinance because everything's fine here. When my Trump supporting friends start coming to me with that, then we'll talk. And we'll talk as individuals, not as a blanket.
No, I hear you. Okay. I hear you. And I get you.
Truth and reconciliation, which I learned from Nelson Mandela.
No, I think truth and reconciliation is I'm all for actually communities, relationships having sort of truth and reconciliation spaces, right? Because I think that it's really important. I agree with you when you talk about making amends. I too I come from a very conservative background. I wrote an essay that actually defended the just war theory at one time. Right. And I have obviously since learned a significant amount that I disagree with that theory, and I was wrong to actually defend it. But I also have to understand my own evolution in changing the way that I thought based off of the life that I was cultivating. And it's changed even again in the past 5 years, in the past 2 years, in the past 1 year. Right. Like we should continue to keep evolving, which is actually, one of my biggest gripes against people who love Bernie. I'm like, the guy hasn't actually evolved since the 60s. I'm like, he's got some great ideas, but he hasn't actually evolved. So that's actually what elevates his ego. So in my opinion, I would prefer to have people who have some sense of evolution, which is also why I like Harris. But I think that's the thing is that we have to kind of allow for that evolution. But I do like your point about sort of making amends, because the part about truth and reconciliation that is the most important is the people who have been on the powerful side of harm have to be the ones to be willing to kind of come to their knees, come to their knees, and in a figurative way, and be able to say, you know what, either I was wrong completely for doing that, or I see now that that must be different, or whatever it is, because it's that weird space between evolution, and then outright saying I'm wrong. There are genuinely people who don't think that they're wrong, but maybe that they can evolve and say I do think different because, and then start to show their actions to be different, just like an alcoholic or a drug addict or any of those things. I think those, to me, in a way, it's like taking the 12 steps and applying them to life, just applying them into any of these kinds of situations.
Yep. And Nelson Mandela was quick to say that that those truth and reconciliation tribunals were the only reason South Africa survived as a country, because they needed architects and bankers and mining engineers. They needed people, the only people who had been educated to do those things, to continue to do them. And so they needed a framework in which to accept them. And that was stepping up and saying, yes, I was a member of the secret police and I tortured people. Right. That was the only way that country survived without overwhelming violence. And I that's where I learned the lesson was reading about that. So yeah, I mean, not that we need tribunals, but what we need is conversations about.
actually, we don't need tribunals. Maybe we do in some of the communities. I think it was in Maine. I haven't actually seen Dawnland yet, but I'm really aware of what it's about. And it's actually about efforts in Maine that have taken place that have created almost like a tribunal type community forum, essentially, that has brought Indigenous and white folks together to start having truth and reconciliation conversations, a committee that has been brought together and that is giving, especially people on the Indigenous side, to say, this is what you have done to our family. This is the wounding that we carry. And you have white people that are challenging it, but you've also had white people that have like, oh my God, I didn't know. And then you have other white people who are going, okay, let's fix this. So you're actually like, it's a place to start. It doesn't solve the problem, right? A truth and reconciliation committee or tribunal does not solve the problem, but it is a place to start to, as Joe Biden told Brene Brown, to bring exposure, which then brings liberation.
Beautiful. So, I got some stuff I have to run and do.
Yeah.
Listen, my phone, I'm still getting calls about what do I do about this on my ballot. So I'm going to go answer some questions. I know that Donna is on her way out. Not my Donna. Donna Arbogast is on her way out to do some volunteer work this morning at one of the polls with Lena Hopper, our ever faithful Bernie bro, our good friend, our Bernie sis. And she's out doing what today? Taking people water at the polls on behalf of Joe Biden.
That's
so
tight.
talk about
That's just...
growth and wonderment. But I want to get going this morning. If you guys want to continue, that's cool. But I'm gonna
we'll call it. I just want to share this.
Yeah.
Megan, where are we going? Brody Hope is there. People with Hope. That's all she wants. If you can call her. Brian, you can do your shooting, and I'll move you when we're ready. Okay. Gotta go do an interview.
So he's gonna call a lady who's on her deathbed who voted for him. Yeah.
I caught that. Yeah.
Right? I mean, we know what fucking side we're on. It's this side.
Yeah. That's human. That's just fucking human.
Yeah. Right? Like, stuff that shouldn't be hard. Anyway,
I've been finding it really amazing this morning, the number of appropriate quotes from the Lord of the Rings. And among them is, what Sam was saying when Frodo had lost hope when they were in Osgiliath, and he said that there's good in the world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a long 4 years, guys. But I think we can at least honestly say that we left it on the field this time.
Yeah.
And also tonight might end up being super entertaining. Ash, thank you so much for joining us this morning and for joining us tonight. Hopefully you get a nap in because we're going to be going to the Costco.
For sure. Yeah.
We'll see everybody else at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll probably be live all night.
Did anybody catch it? Did anybody catch it the other day when Corey said Sasquatch is real?
I might have said it.
He did.
I mean, you were holding it. It's like it's a
I'm
real
very
little,
convincing.
It's a real little plastic thing. So
we love you guys, and we'll see you tonight.
All right. You know what? Just for you, Sasquatch is real.
Ah.